All right. Hey, everybody. It is Thursday night book club night. I think one of my favorite nights of the week is book club night. It really is because everybody gets to talk on book club night. So, again, shameless plug. Y'all need to talk tonight. Share your thoughts. This is such a good chapter. I mean, really, which chapter has not been good? There is no such thing. So, we are talking about how do I get started in leadership? And oh, this was so packed again, but obviously I'm not going to sit here and talk and review the entire thing, but I definitely highlighted the entire chapter. So I could talk about the whole thing, but we're not going to do that. We're going to review some things that I've just felt like were really key. And then he definitely goes into a lot of detail here, but pardon me if I've got my notes down here on my remarkable. So fun. All right. So what I just really felt was so important is I love how he led in to just talking about that everyone comes into leadership in a different way. I felt like that was so important right away. I thought plexus, because how many of us on here were like, I'm not a leader. Like, I don't lead people, surprise. I'm going to actually bring that up here too, because yes, you are. And yes, you did before plexus even, but now we're really just pulling that out of you because that's what we do here. But a lot of leadership positions, some people come into them on purpose, right? But a lot of people do it accidentally. Like probably many of us here can say that. But some people come into their leadership just because they step into it. I love some of the examples that he gave, but they step into it because somebody's got to take over and do it, and something I'll just quick give you a case in point. Recently, I was put on the prom decorating committee because we have a small school and the parents decorate prom. I was put on this committee probably because I wasn't at the meeting. I think I was on a trip and I came back to an email that said, you're on the prom decorating committee. I was like, what? I can decorate stuff if you tell me what to put out. I can't come up with the creative vision, like to get to that point, but there was just not a lot of parents. Peyton's class was in charge and there's like 8 kids in her class, you guys. And when there's not a lot of parents, then the ones who are on the committees have to step up. Right. So I was with someone who has a full-time job, and some other ladies that have full-time jobs. And so we had a lot of people that came and helped decorate, but nobody really took on the leadership piece to like be in charge of this. So I just kind of did it, and just, I didn't know what I was doing, but somebody had to take charge, and so that's a kind of leadership thing. And I'm sure you can think of lots of different, if you really sat down and thought about it, you could probably think of lots of different situations where you were just thrown into something that either the group that you were with wasn't taking charge of it. So you were like, well, we got to get this done. I mean, think about our kids in school when they have to do projects. What a great leader thing to talk to our kids about leadership. They come home, they're complaining. Like, I got this group, nobody's doing anything. Everybody just messes around. And see Liz, the teacher here, she knows. You see that with groups too, and somebody's got to take charge, and you immediately can figure out which one ends up stepping up, and that person is going to go places because they see the need and they're ready to do some leadership. Well, what do we have here with plexus? Like here we are. And a lot of us did not plan on leading teams of 10, 20, 30, 50, 100, 1,000 people plus. That's not what my plan was when I started. It's one of my products paid for, but surprise, this just kind of happens. And, you end up just doing it, and thankfully we have such strong leadership from the top with our CEO and our company owners and their leadership. And then just the teams that we're on, the team that we are all blessed to be on, just has really strong, confident leadership. And so I just thought that was such a great picture of what we have here with plexus, but it really applies to so many different things. And so one thing that I struggle with people saying is, when they say like, I'm not a leader, I'm like, yeah, you are. You just have to really think about it. You are leading somebody in some way, shape, or form, whether it's coworkers at your office, you're probably leading in some way. Your kids, you are all leading. If you're a parent, you're leading your family. Even if you don't have kids, you're probably leading in some way your immediate family of siblings and, in different situations. So there's, and parents and cousins and all of that. So we're all leaders in some way, shape, or form, whether it's on purpose or if it's accidental. So, and I think a lot of times we are like, well, I don't know if I really want to lead, but if you have goals of helping others, if you want to add value to people, which I think we all want to do that in some way, shape, or form, if we want to be successful in anything that we do, if you have vision or dreams that you really want for your life, that, if you want to help others be in a better place, then you are definitely on the right track to becoming a leader and a good leader. And I just love that we have that here and that opportunity here with Plexus, because I really feel like everything that we have here can do those things. We help people with our products, but also with our opportunity. We help each other grow in their personal growth. I mean, how many of us that came into this and we're completely different people to start? Maybe some of us were already on a leadership journey because of our professions and because of our life experience or whatever. And personal growth journeys we were doing before, but a lot of people come in and they're like, I've never even thought about personal growth, and then think about where you are today compared to where you were before. So we are all on this journey. And then I love too, how he goes into talking a lot about, there are a lot of just different important ways to grow in your leadership. And he really spends the entire chapter talking about specifics, right? With all of those questions and how he dives in. But I feel like some of the biggest ways, especially with what we do for Plexus and what people either struggle with and sometimes have that inner struggle with and have to grow in, is like your credibility and your trust that you'll earn through your character and your competence. Okay. So credibility and trust comes from the kind of character that you have and you exhibit and you show, which, being on social media, that gives you a huge platform to grow that character. And you may not have been growing that at all for a long time. Maybe you just use social media as just like a way to keep up with people and you didn't really post a whole lot. So people don't know you very well yet. Maybe your friend groups, you kept those circles small there. And some of you maybe were like friending absolutely everybody. You're a socialite. You like to put yourself out there. Everybody's in a different place. Some people, have their character is maybe a little negative when they first start. I know if you guys ever hear Fallon's story, she talks about that. I don't know if she's told that story for a long time, but she used to be uber negative on social media and put a lot of negative things out there. Hopefully I'm not like bringing bad things to Fallon's name, but you think about how inspirational her posts are now, the things that she shares about her life, and it's pretty amazing. And she had to do a lot of personal growth and change. And when she changed some things about her character, she started to attract a lot of people to her, and so that plays a really huge role in the kind of leader that we're going to be growing into. And then of course the competence of just what we do and what we talk about, how we add value to people. That's like your competence, but you can grow that too. So like with Plexus, a lot of us start in that same place. We all start in the same place. A lot of us, I mean, how many of us, Plexus is new to everybody. I know for me, I knew nothing about our products. I knew nothing about that piece of health. I had some health knowledge and I could kind of tie and make some connections, but there's a lot of people that don't know any of that. So you can grow in your competence with that. You can grow in your credibility by sharing more, putting yourself out there. And by doing those things, people are going to see you like growing. They're going to see, okay, this is somebody that I really want to follow. And you start gaining that credibility and people want to follow you, and that grows your leadership then, because people start asking you questions and, and that all just kind of ties together. So, I love how all of this ties with Plexus. Something that I wrote down is that, okay, I just want to make sure I cover this here. So we do those things and we do these basic actions and we use these systems to grow our leadership because of what our leaders have done before us. Okay. And the groundwork has been laid, and we have to trust that the leaders that have already done things know what they're doing, and they haven't gotten to where they are because they just were throwing things out there willy-nilly. It was passed down to us. So things like that are going to grow, those things are things like posting every single day. Maybe giving yourself a couple days off or whatever, but that's going to grow your audience. Your people are going to see that you're active with this. It keeps your store open every day. Doing daily IPA, doing that every day as you are growing a team and you're being consistent, your team's going to see that you're adding people, and they're going to see that, and they're going to trust you. Okay, this person is growing. They are understanding the products because they're helping people, and that just all continues to grow and build. And therefore your leadership is going to continue to grow as well. And your team is going to see you. Your customers are going to trust you. They're going to see that you're adding value and you're continuing to do that. Making sure that you watch and participate in trainings and book clubs. Being on team calls, being present, adding value in those things, participating in book clubs, even though it's scary, doing live videos, going live on Facebook, doing things that are going to grow your confidence. Those are the things that you need to be doing. And as you do those things, you're going to grow your confidence, your leadership's going to grow, people are going to come around you. Thankfully, we have such a supportive community here that all helps. But yeah, knowing and understanding your strengths, building on those, using those, but then also knowing what your weaknesses are and building the ones that are going to help you grow as well. And then making sure your walk matches your talk is really important. That is key, absolutely key to developing trust. And again, that gets seen by your participation in these types of things. If you're going to be telling your team to get on these, then you need to be on them too. If you're telling your team to turn their camera on, so do you. If you are asking your team to do hard things, you need to do those hard things too. And that's just going to build trust. It's going to build your confidence. Your team's going to build confidence. It all envelops each other. And then, of course, this is my number one. I put this last for this, is he talks about you just always focusing on people. And if you're focusing on people and you're focusing on helping others, then it's that right there is where you're going to build credibility. You're going to build confidence. Anytime you're others focused, that's what people see. People see that, they feel that, the genuineness from that, and people are going to want to follow you. They're going to see your leadership, and that, you guys, is leadership. If you do some of those things every single day, you're a leader. Okay. And that it just continues to grow and build. Okay. I can't miss this either. And then always knowing that you're not thinking about have all this happening right now, that we go for the long game. Okay. This is not who I am now, is definitely different than who I was 6 years ago. And I did have some leadership 6 years ago, but definitely I'm in a different place now. And just knowing too, that just because you know that you have confidence and things that you need to grow in now and credibility doesn't mean it's not going to happen. We're still going to be constantly adding value to people. That doesn't just stop at some point. Diamonds still have to continue to build and grow their confidence and stuff. I know that's the things that I need to work on. That's why I get on the phone with my sponsor every week, making sure that we are seeking those opportunities out to continue to grow, and that we don't just arrive. It's a lot like when we made Profession of Faith. I remember our pastor said, you're not arriving to your faith right now. This is not your pinnacle of your faith. This is you just coming to this point where you're saying, okay, I love the Lord, and you're wanting to be, just tell your church and tell your community here. Your faith is going to continue to change and grow and develop as you get closer in your relationship with the Lord. And leadership is the exact same way. You just continue to grow and change and develop yourself as you're loving on people. So those were my thoughts, baseline thoughts, you guys. And so I think now it's time to hear from all of you. Let's break off. Jamie and Sue's team are going to go to another link, and Sal and my team are going to stay put. So thanks for joining, friends. Have a good chat. All All right, I'm going to switch the view over. All right, Jamie's putting her other link in the team page. So, all right, friends, whoever is on. Okay, I talked for 17 minutes. Now it's your turn. And if you're like me, you highlighted like the entire chapter again. So I would love to hear your thoughts, you guys. Anybody want to start?
So one thing that I really take away from these John Maxwell books is how leadership is servanthood. I don't have the written copy of it, and I completely because I listen to it and I'm, oh yes, this is so good. And then I kind of lose it. But my takeaway with this chapter 2 was the servanthood part of it. And I found myself saying, like, what can I do to serve my team? How can I check in with my team and help them? How can I serve them? How can I make their week go better? Yeah, and I just love that part of him. Like, I love how he talks about just serving your team, and that's what makes a good leader. So that was my big takeaway this week.
Love it. Yeah, that's it. Really, what it's all about, helping people.
Yep. I liked on that first page of chapter 6, I highlighted this part. It says, how you come into a leadership role matters less than how you handle it. And that hit me like a brick house. I was like, holy cow. You know, when we first start this business, a lot of the time, you know, we obviously reach out to a lot of people because we're excited. We love the products and we can get a lot of joins in a little amount of time, but it really does matter the ripple effect after. You know, you can get all the joins you want, but it's really how you implement your business afterwards and pouring into other people. So I thought that was really important too. Like, I've seen that even in my team too, you know, like just taking care of our people right after they sign them up is so important. So I just really like that part too.
That was a great statement to start things for sure. Made you think, how am I handling it? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. I love the bottom of that page right under what she just shared, you know, because I think I'm probably not the only one that has started off with really struggling to see myself as a leader. You know, I think that's probably a common thread for a lot of people who start this, but none of us, I don't know. I mean, some of us started off to be a leader, but I think there are a lot of us that didn't necessarily start off thinking, well, I'm going to be a leader in this business. But, you know, I just think that assurance below that of, you know, if you want to help other people, your team, your organization, you're starting off on the right foot, and you can definitely consider yourself to be qualified to step into leadership. You know, if your desire is to fulfill a worthy vision, one that will help people make the world a better place, you're headed in the right direction. If you're doing it to add value to others and not just yourself, you're seeking to be a leader for the right reason. And then after that, it is your duty to become the best leader that you can be. So I love that progression, you know, of thought there. And yeah, it's just reassuring to know that even if we didn't necessarily intend to start off with one, it's the values that we hold, I think, that really determine our qualification, you know, to be a leader. So.
That's so good. I love that you just said the values that we hold determine our qualification to become a good leader. That was really good. So good. Thank you, Susan.
That ties into what I was going to say. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Actually, I wanted to just say that ties into what I was going to say on page 146. I loved how he touched on if somebody's not a leader, how they can grow into being a leader. Like some people, he says, I don't know, I felt like 50 times in this chapter, leadership is influence. I feel like he says that all the time. And so we know that. But what if you feel like you don't have a lot of influence? I know a lot of us, you know, going back to what Susie said, felt like when we started, we didn't have a lot of influence, even though we did. And he on 146 then says, you know, developing that is by gaining credibility. And how do you get credibility? You earn trust through character and competence. So it's kind of like, I felt like he was working backwards. Like, okay, so we want to lead, and leadership is influence. Now, how do we get that? So you got to build credibility. How do you build credibility? Through your character and competence. So if you want to keep growing towards that leadership, work on your character and your competence to start with, and then that's going to make you a natural progression into a leader. I just loved that part. I mean, we talk a lot about, you know, how integrity is so important, but that really just confirms it.
I love that too, Janelle. And the uniqueness of it, I feel like is so important. Like, we look to other leaders and we feel like, well, I have to do what they're doing because they're a good leader, right? And it's okay to be inspired by other leaders, but he also really focuses on like identifying what your own personal strengths are. And I love that, because how I lead is going to be completely different than how Janelle leads, and that's going to be different than how Chris leads. They can all be extremely effective and done really well, not one above the other. But when each person is operating like at the height of where their strengths are and their God-given gifts and talents, that's where it happens. And so I think really focusing on where you can make a difference and add value and help others grow within the strengths that you have, more so than the strengths that maybe somebody else has, is so important. People buy into you. And we say that all the time too, even when they join this company for the products. Yeah, they love our products, but they're trusting us. They're buying into us. And so we're attracting people that are drawn to our personality and our style of how we connect and communicate and raise lids and add value to people. Like, that is impactful to those people. So that should be so empowering to us and encouraging that we have within us, along with the Lord's help, which he's given us, to just lead really, really well.
Yeah, my favorite part of this was talking about the strengths finder. And on 151, he says, every success and every failure can bring you another step closer to the knowledge of yourself. I really don't like the word failure. I'd rather it be like every lesson, because even though I have not failed, but it's every lesson that I learn, I get a step closer to knowing about myself and the leader that I want to be. I think that finding our own strength, and then leaning into the strengths, like he also says, once you discover your strengths, you must intentionally increase your time using them. Intentional is, hold on, honey. Intentional is like my word of 22. And so like leaning into my strengths and like intentionally working on them is something that I'm definitely trying to. So yeah, that was my favorite part.
Mama, I'm going to bed.
I could piggyback on that. I was thinking about that same section, what she just talked about. And I was listening to, I'm pretty sure it was Rick Warren this morning. And he was talking about, he had gone shopping for a pair of jeans. And he looked at a tag that inside the jeans, and it said, these jeans were created flawless for a reason, so that they would be unique. And he put that into perspective with how God made our genes, GENES, with flaws on purpose, so that we could be unique and use our strengths, because he's there for us. And that just kind of all tied in together with that. You know, God does give us weaknesses, but we need to find our strengths through that. And that just kind of hit me there again.
That's so good, Pat. Don't you just love how, I don't know if you guys have this too, but sometimes when we read these books and I just feel like I see signs of that stuff everywhere. Like, like Pat, that's so not related. I mean, that was not the book talking, but it was directly related to the book, and devotion situations. It's, yeah, always, you can always, anytime we read a chapter, always can go back and think, wow, there's a lot of examples of that in my week and what I did this week and the things, conversations that I had and the stuff that I saw. That was really good. Any other thoughts? Thanks for sharing, you guys. I love it. What do you guys think of the section where it's talked about 153 about being a good leader? You must first be a good follower. I really liked that section.
I was just going to comment on that. The best leaders know what it's like to follow and have learned how to do it, but they are willing to learn how to follow well before they're trying to lead. And that's where I feel we have such a blessing here in Plexus, because we have leaders that have gone before us and have learned from the leaders up above that, who have gone before the leaders above that. And we just have such a well-oiled machine and just such great examples to learn from. And for that, I'm so thankful. It's just makes it so much easier, and then that can help me grow as a leader and learn how to do it, because there's a right and a wrong way. And sometimes there's no right or wrong. Sometimes it's not black and white, but sometimes it is. And so when it is, it's helping me learn how to be that leader.
Yep. Good thoughts, Vicki. I feel like a lot of that just shows like coachability, right? Like a lot of what being a good follower is, oh, look at that, Shelley. I didn't even look at the comments. You just wrote that. But it's being coachable, and humility to like, okay, which is being coachable. Like, okay, I need to be corrected in that, and I'm going to accept that and change some things, and trusting your leader that they know what they're talking about. So yeah, that was a really good section.
So along with that, it's funny you brought that up, because I was gonna speak on that too, and I love that part. But just a little sentence in this whole chapter kind of stuck out. I mean, a lot did, but this one sentence on 151, he said, "But some things you will only learn." Well, how do you get to know yourself? He said, first you can like do this strength training stuff, kind of what Rochelle was talking about. But he said, "But some things you will learn only through trial and error." And then that went so perfectly along with what we were just talking about on 157, where he said it takes humility to seek feedback and wisdom to understand, to analyze it, and appropriately act on it. That's being coachable too. But there's so many times in the last almost 7 years, and Chris can probably easily say this too, and a lot of you girls who have been here, and whatever your journey has been, that we have done trial and error learning. Like we have done things wrong, or just, oh, that didn't go well. And so many things, but that is how you learn. And that's, like Rochelle said, that's not failure. We don't like that word. It's learning forward. It's growing forward. And you have to go through the trial and error part of it to learn how to do it, right? And that's so, so good. And so not thinking that's a negative thing at all. That's a really positive thing, okay? But then also being coachable, if the trial and error stuff comes from a coaching call or from, an upline saying, hey, just constructive criticism, whatever, that's can be trial and error too, right? And so taking that feedback, really like being coachable with that, and the humility to just accept it and be like, yeah, these people have gone before, they see something that I probably didn't see or whatever. And then just, working forward in that. So I think, he said it's definitely worth it. It's so worth it. And it's so true. That's just building your strength too. So anyway, yeah, all of it's so good.
That was so good. So. All right. Any other thoughts? Yeah, the last two, 9 and 10, were so good too. Like, I feel like that's a phrase I say, so good, so good. But the first thing of the first sentence of the number 9, as long as you're overly concerned about what other people think of you, you won't be able to become a strong leader. Oh. It's like, okay, everybody, get out of that people pleasing mode. And that's hard. And as you grow, I mean, I know I have some leaders that are getting to that place too. Like, I mean, we're always, and we think like in life, guys, we're always going to have people that we have to, that are, we don't want to hurt their feelings, but we might have to have a really tough conversation with them. But those things, you can do those things out of love. And I love how he says, believing in the cause creates your conviction. Vision fuels your inspiration. Believing in your people builds your motivation. Yeah. I mean, it's just good stuff. And then he talks through here to set the standards, teach the standards, live the standards, lead others to stretch to the standards.
I could really identify with that part too in number 9 there. Especially because I still am working on that people pleasing thing, but working on it. And it says the key to my change was deciding to do what was best, not what was best for me. And I know a few years ago, I had a job at a thrift store where I was sharing a managing position. And I was scared to death to step into that role initially because I knew it would mean that I would have to actually talk with customers that might not always be happy. And I did learn to do that. And it really was all about deciding to do, what was going to be best for the customer paired with what was going to be best for the store. And that it was not ever about me. So that was a good lesson learned that's helping me here too.
That's a great example, Lee Ellen. Look at that. So you're like the long goal. If you think about it, that your road to leadership started back then, That's really good.
Yeah, really, even before then, years ago, I used to teach Taekwondo. So I was teaching mostly kids, but a few adults too. So that was definitely a time where I had to get over my lack of skills that I might have to do a certain thing and just show my confidence.
Yeah,
How to teach others to do it.
totally. Look at that. Yeah, I knew you did that. That's a big deal. I can't teach Taekwondo. We all could learn. That's amazing.
Gym, that's pretty close.
Oh, not Taekwondo. That's totally different. That is amazing. But what a great example. So good. Love that. Thanks for sharing that, Leon. That was great. Yeah. And then the last section too, but that 10, how does an emerging leader establish leadership confidence without affirmation? That was just a great way to finish. Spend time with people who give you confidence. Hey, friends, here we are. That's why I'm like, Plexus, we just scream this out to people. Oh, I've had this conversations with a lot of people a lot in recent years about you need to change your tribe. I've even said straight up, you need some better friends. I've said that to a lot of people, and because it's true, and you can do that. You really can change your circles, but you have to be willing. It's not easy, but what a difference it makes. If you're hanging around with people that are not life bringers, you need to find some new people, and there's ways and places to do that. So, and we are one of those ways. I just love that, because I feel like that right here. I mean, think about how many of us here, because you're here and because you're with this positive, amazing tribe of people, how it's helped you to gain your confidence and your leadership skills, and how you've grown makes such a big difference when your tribe is positive and encouraging. It's just an awesome, awesome thing. So any other thoughts before we wrap up here? We're over. I figured we would be.
We were actually just talking about that on our coaching call today, and like spending time with people who give you confidence and not like take away from who you are. And it reminded me of back on page 152, the box where he talks about what really matters to you and being authentic to yourself in your own leadership style. And I love the part where it says it really does take effort to remain true to yourself, and other people's opinions don't matter. Even as important as this group is, like, only God's opinion matters. And so really diving in back to like what really matters to me, what really makes me a leader, what really is true to myself, and then surrounding myself with people who are life-giving and all of that. But really getting back to authentic is really what stuck out to me with that. So the importance, it all goes back to God being your business partner in life and this business, but his is the most important.
Yeah. Amen. Amen, friend. And that's a great place to end tonight. Mic drop. Wrap it up. Thanks, Kaylee, for bringing that in. All right, friends, thanks for jumping on tonight. Appreciate you all so much and your thoughts. Thanks for sharing. Have a great night. See you next time.